going on, guys? I'm Adam, and welcome back to the Yard Office, your favorite podcast for getting all your railroad-related information. Joining me today, as always, I have my good buddy Jacob Petkowski. How are we doing today? Fun fact for today's episode: Jake's got coronavirus, so I'm glad he can be with us today. He's not doing too bad, but he's here, and I'm grateful for that.
fine, but I still have Rona.
Joining us today as well is our good buddy Vaughn. How are you doing today?
Good.
Good. Okay. Before we get started in today's video, I just want to say thank you to all the support for the last episode. We actually just hit 500 views on that, and we're getting close to hitting 200 subscribers on this channel, which I think is just awesome. So, if you guys are new to the channel, you haven't subscribed, why don't you do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. That way you can get notified when I post a new episode, possibly every week. But yeah, so do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. And without further ado, let's just get right into this. We have a really good episode for today. If you guys remember,
These really good episodes. They're never not really good episodes. They're the great best episodes ever.
If you guys remember a few episodes ago, we did a little bit of a competition, or not more sort of a competition, but a sort of a comparison between big articulate locomotives in the U.S. And today we actually have what we're calling the Battle of the Battle of the Streamliners. I almost said it twice.
You have one job.
I only have one job. Battle of the Streamliners. So what we're doing is, let me switch over screens here real quick. We're doing a tier list of U.S. streamlined locomotives.
North American.
North American, not because we do
have
some
Canadian. We have some Canadian there.
We have some steam engines. We have some diesel engines. We have some electric. We're doing just all across the board. We didn't really have. Thank you, Jake. We didn't really have
colorful commentary as always.
We didn't really have any sort of I guess rules or stuff that for things that
it's
can
all
be included.
Subjective. This is entirely subjective list, and we probably missed some really obscure ones, but we got a lot of them. I think we got more than we wanted to.
Yeah, we got, I believe, 38 that we're going to be talking about today.
Well, 37, because some have two different ones, but are the same thing.
Yeah, so it's depending on, it's really depending on how you look at it. But I think without further ado, we're just gonna get right into this. Starting at number 1, we have the Southern Pacific Daylight, the GS4.
Specifically, 4449, so yes. The GS4, because it did have the GS2s technically with a single headlight opposed to double. But when people think of Daylight nowadays, they think of the 4449, obviously.
Yes.
For good reasons.
Oh yes, of course.
Okay. So what are our subcategories here again?
So our subcategories are God tier, great, okay, and why was this made with a question mark?
Okay. So first, so let's talk about what we like about it. What do we like about it? Adam, you could start.
Honestly, for me, it's the colors.
Yes, I think that's why
I love how it's colorful, and I think that's why everybody loves it. Just because the orange and that orange reddish across the top, it looks so good compared to a lot of others.
Eye catching, very eye poppy. I mean, it is the most beautiful train in the world.
Absolutely,
it has given that title, so that's kind of good. I like how it's streamlined, but it's not, and you'll see a couple of those on this list. But I like the
pipe work showing it's a steam locomotive. It doesn't try to hide the fact.
Yes, so it still has that functionality to it, for maintenance reasons, stuff like that. Not entirely, obviously, but it's a little more square in places. It's not a complete rounded thing. The smoke box, it hasn't been. Let's go ahead. Doesn't have. What is it? It doesn't have
nose cone.
No, it doesn't have boiler jacketing. It doesn't have jacketing on it.
It's still box.
Yeah, it's still bare.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's almost kind of like a happy medium, if you will. I think.
Yes, and it also has the chrome on on the cow catcher there.
Yeah,
that's kind of a neat touch.
And another thing I will bring up, this is one thing that I will always give a plus to. It had a full streamlined set at construction, and it actually had the full articulating vestibules in between the cars as well.
Yes, that is. So
it was a completely smooth train.
Yes,
that's always a pro. The whole it was start to end a full streamlined consist.
Yeah, which I don't, and I think the articulated passenger cars and stuff like that. I think was that specific to the SP?
Quite a couple roads did them.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because I forgot it had actual articulating coaches, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, no, it wasn't specific to the SP because later on we will be getting to the Milwaukee Road, and they had theirs.
Okay. Okay.
Some of theirs.
I hadn't seen.
Actually, most of the
other
early
ones.
Streamliners were articulated, but we'll get to that.
Really? Okay. I never knew that. But honestly, I think it would be a cardinal sin if we didn't put this in God tier.
I mean, you have the title "Most Beautiful Train in the World." You really
can't.
Well, that is entirely a subjective opinion. Some people probably hate this thing.
I mean,
Also, I'm just gonna say it's also most beautiful surviving train in the world because
And operating
95% of American Streamliners don't exist anymore.
That's
not
also
to
true.
not to mention the fact operating too. On top of that,
Yeah.
In North America, I think there are American specific, like United States. I think there's only 3 Streamliners steam wise. So I don't know.
Yeah.
611, 490.
4449.
Well, I mean, there's 4460, but she's even less streamlined. She doesn't have.
Yeah.
She wasn't built with any skirting or anything.
Yeah.
That's not a Streamliner. It just has a nose cone.
Yeah. No, that's not.
It's just as much a Streamliner as the.
I feel like we're missing. I feel like there is something else out there that we just don't remember or can't think of.
Very well is. And if we missed anything this episode, anything that you guys think we should have talked about, feel free to comment down below. I do read all the comments that you guys put on these videos. So if we missed anything, feel free to comment it. But I think we got to put this in God tier.
Yeah,
It'd
be wrong not to put it in God tier. I think it'd be more of a sin not to put it in the God tier than to put it in the God tier.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's God tier.
Next up, we have one from the B&O. I believe this is the which Vaughn. Which one is this?
Cincinnatian.
The Cincinnatian. Okay.
If we're looking at the same one, I don't know what is it in the order we have it.
Yes.
It's in the order
yeah, they're all in the order that we have them.
Okay.
On
this is the Cincinnatian.
Document.
The coloring isn't perfect on this photo, but it's a B&O dark blue with black striping and white highlights, white and chrome highlights.
Yeah.
Make color photos, we can't help best represent these because these things are meant to be colorful and eye flashy.
Yes. Yeah.
So some photo quality can be to varying levels, degree of how well done they are. If they've been
colorized, photo quality is going to vary throughout the video.
Representation of these while getting actual photos of them, like model or something like that, to kind of give them more of a fair playing field.
Yeah.
This one also does have a matching full streamlined set. It had a 5-car streamlined heavyweight set. Behind the locomotive, it would have carried the gray stripe the entire length of the train.
See, now here's my thing though. It's a matching set, but the gray stripe wasn't incorporated into the tender somehow, the engine.
Because it wouldn't look good.
True.
The gray stripe isn't incorporated on the Dreyfus's locomotive.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
on the tender it is, not on the locomotive.
That's what I'm saying, like on the tender, like something like that.
It wouldn't work though.
Fair.
Because if you look at the tender, it's kind of like how a lot of F7Bs and stuff do it. It has a starting point. If you look, the baggage compartment matches the locomotive. It's a dark blue with the diamond that says Cincinnatian on it. Then once it gets past the door, it starts the square.
Okay, so it's got a transition to it. Okay.
I think it has a transition. It's not just abrupt.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I like it. I like the color. I like the color. I'll say that.
Yeah, as opposed to 44, this is actually fully purposed, full on streamlined.
Yeah.
Aside from the underskirting.
Yeah.
Because some railroads would even skirt it even more underneath.
Yeah. So they try to.
This is a full. I agree. This is a full streamliner.
They try keeping the functionality bit into it a bit more.
Yeah, but it is a full streamlined locomotive.
I was never crazy about tenders where it's just a block, essentially. I like how there's always a little dip for the water tank, just to kind of give it some figure.
I just see it as if you put a dip in it, it would then not be streamlined because it would be lower than the passenger car.
I know, I understand. It's because it's for the cars. I'm just saying, I like it when the set
Well, the
cars
reason it's like that on a daylight or something is because of how tall of an engine it is. The P7s were small compared to a Northern, so they
Yes.
had to be.
Well, I told you Northern. You could like even like the Dreyfuses or like some of those.
Again, those were
very...
taller designs.
Yes. That's why I kind of like that when they're a little bit taller, so you can have that little swoop. So it still kind of gives some definition or silhouette.
Right.
I like the blue. I do like the blue
I do
black
too.
combo a lot. I don't know if I call it God tier though.
I'm thinking.
I know
great.
you consider it God tier. I think it's great.
I think it's great.
I want to call it God tier though, because like not a lot of people really. Because if we're gonna put something God tier, it's got to be something that a lot of people really well know, and it's something that people
Well, I wouldn't
can
have to
recognize.
say it's people know, but I'd say it has to be
Easily recognizable by just almost anybody.
or just really good looking. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be necessarily because you could have the most beautiful streamliner and it
But no
not
one
be
know
very
about
well
it.
known.
Yes. No, I just think that fact kind of helps it a bit.
Oh yeah.
So I think I'm not saying that's the reason why this one's not entirely being shot down. I like it. It's good, though. I don't think it's God tier good. I know you think it does, Vaughn. I know you do, and this is blasphemy saying it. I do like it, but it's I don't know.
I'm thinking.
It's not me. I like it a lot.
I think my favorite thing about it is how it. I like how there's enough of a color. It's like the daylight in the sense that they didn't just flat color it. I like the fact that they added the black stripes.
I like the black stripes.
It
I like
added
it.
something. I
It
like
contrasts.
that. I think that's my
breaks
favorite
up-
part
breaks
about
up a
it.
bit, yes,
Okay.
I agree. So I think we put it in great.
I'm thinking great as well. We'll put that in great.
Mhm.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay. Next up is
Arduino Engine.
Yeah, another Baltimore and Ohio. Which
Royal Blue.
This is the Royal
Royal
Blue.
Blue. This is
it
the Royal
says
Blue,
on the
okay.
engine.
Okay.
Now notable, two things notable. First of all, this is an auto cooler design. Auto cooler will come up many more times in this list. He's most notable for the Milwaukee Roads Hiawatha's. But this locomotive, number 5304, is also notable. It is one of two steam locomotives in America to ever be streamlined twice. It was originally streamlined for the Royal Blue and then was later re-streamlined as one of the Cincinnati and P7Ds, as we had just covered. But this was first. This came first.
So why did the Royal Blue change? Like, why did it fail? Or like what?
What do you mean?
Like, it got streamlined twice. So like, was there still Royal Blue when the Cincinnati was around then or no?
It was just a matter of the Royal Blue went from being the big train to it just be okay. So here's what happened: the Royal Blue was the first train on the B&O to actually be painted blue.
Okay.
At that time, the B&O's paint scheme was all green. The Royal Blue came around and they painted one locomotive up like this, and they give it the streamlined skirting. This engine was the only engine that pulled that train at that time, but every time it broke down, they had to pull one of the green Pacifics off one of the trains and put it on it. The B&O executives got so tired of seeing a green locomotive on a blue train that every engine on the B&O was given a flat coat of blue. Every Pacific on the B&O was given a flat blue coat. This would have been de-streamlined late 30s. Basically, it was just a matter of they would have de-streamlined it because it wasn't worth it in their eyes to have a streamlined train. It was after that Great Depression thing where it was like the boom is gone. We're not having a lot of traffic. We can't afford to keep a streamliner up.
Okay.
That's more why. It's kind of like how streamliners did kind of die down right before World War II, and then after the World War II boom, when they were bringing soldiers back, the passenger market shot back up and railroads scurried to try to make streamliners that could beat the highways. So you see a dip, and this engine is right before that dip.
I definitely consider this more streamlined than the Cincinnati, and like especially with the firebox area and the tender, how it swoops underneath the tender. So it's definitely more streamlined.
It also had a full
cues from it.
It also had another full set of streamlined cars. It was very similar to the Cincinnati and how the streamlining, the gray stripes started. However, one thing I'll say, and this is an extremely early streamliner. This is, I want to say it was like built in like 1929. It's really early. But what shows it is the cylinders, how it's literally just a block.
Yeah, and it jumps out a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do we think for a category for this
Crazy
one.
about this one. I think the Cincinnati is a better looking design.
I agree.
I
I'd
don't like
say
the-
good. I don't think it's bad.
bad.
I don't know what you guys think,
No,
but I don't think it's bad. I think I'd say good.
I'm thinking, yeah. So like, okay, you want to put
Okay.
it in the
think
middle
okay.
category?
I'd
Yes.
say okay because
Okay.
I think some more color could have been used in it. Like they did the black on the Cincinnati. They definitely learned things, obviously, and then they took those ideas and like, okay, what do we do wrong, and what can we do better?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, also, I should have brought it up with the Cincinnati. Cincinnatian was the first American train designed completely by a woman.
Really?
The Cincinnatian and all of its cars were
It was the
designed
first train air conditioned too, right?
No, that was the Columbian. It came before it.
Okay, I knew it was a B&O train though.
It was a B&O train, yes. But the lady's name was Olive Dennis. She was the one who put the air conditioning in trains. She was a industrial designer.
That's cool. I didn't know
She designed the Cincinnati and she designed the cars, like the actual structure work and everything too. She didn't just draw up the design. She was an actual full-on industrial designer.
that. Yeah.
So yeah,
Pretty cool, especially for that time period. You know, I mean, what? What just like women's suffrage just happened not too long before that era, like maybe 10 years.
No, the Cincinnatian was 1945.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I thought thinking Royal Blue is why. I'm still thinking
I get
Royal
that.
Blue.
Yeah.
I'm saying that even still, just for that time period,
it was still impressive for that time period. Yes.
Yes.
But we agree that the Royal Blue is going to go into good.
Yes.
I thought we said
okay. Good is the okay category. It's the middle one.
Yes, the okay.
Yes.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Next one is L&N, I believe, right?
The Southwind. The Southwind. There was two schemes of this: a white one with some red stripes, and this red one. We chose the red one.
Yeah, and probably the best representation of it, just because
it's the working man's Streamliner in my eyes.
Quote.
It's
dirty.
I've always loved. I like quirky engines, and this is kind of the shining achievement of quirky.
It does look like
streamlined. It's streamlined, but it has the little bulges for the air compressors up front.
Not to mention like that hastily made nose cone. It has like slick back hair with a comb.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has slick back hair. The nose cone isn't that cheap.
Not.
It's about the same as what they had on the NCSTL engines.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just because I think L&N was paired with the NCSTL. It was one of those multiple, because I think they were all owned by around the same companies. So they kept a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, it is a weird looking engine. I will agree. I'm thinking we're probably gonna put this in
That's what I'm thinking, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not crazy about it.
The colors, but
good colors.
I like the white one a little night, but
if the first train did not have a streamlined consist. Also, this is the first in this one that doesn't have. I don't think it ever really had a full streamlined train. I think they put heavyweights behind it, and they might have had streamlined cars, but I don't think it was ever like a.
The point of that, if you're at least gonna do a streamlined engine, I feel like you should do a paint scheme at least match the cars.
Yeah,
at the very least.
I think they were making I think it's one of those a matter of they sunk the budget into the engines and the cars just kind of sometimes were on the train.
It could be like a late in service photo too. I can never find photos.
It could be.
I can never find photos of this thing with matching cars either.
I think it was supposed to just pull like lightweight coaches, like your generic buds.
Mm-hmm.
So it I don't think it ever really matched anything. So tier.
Doesn't necessarily have to match to be good looking either, and we'll get to about a certain engine later.
Yeah.
Tier.
So,
yes. Yeah. Next up we got, I believe it's Seaboard, right?
Yep, Seaboard Airlines Orange Blossom Special.
What?
These were their own custom engines, but I think they were like modified. They were like E3s or E1s. E4. Yeah. It says right there, SAL E4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna be honest, I don't like the colors.
Oh, okay. I'm not crazy about the colors, but like
I like them because it feels Florida.
It does.
It's coastline. You have like the tan is like the beach. The orange is, the orange blossoms, which Florida's known for. The greens, I guess, is like the palm. I like it. I think it feels very, like vacation summer train.
It does.
Here's the way I think about it. I think it's like I'm not crazy about the certain tones of the colors they used, and it's a questionable. Just the certain tones of them, I'm not crazy about. I probably wouldn't like them on their own.
But I like the design. I like the roundness and how they all incorporate.
Yeah, I like how they work together. I think all together it actually works out for like colors that maybe seem unappealing on their own. They somehow work together. Like it's like Neil Young. He's not necessarily a great singer. No, hang on. He doesn't necessarily have a great voice.
Or is he necessarily a good musician with guitar, but all together
it works. And he's one of my favorite musicians, and I think it works. It's in that similar situation where it doesn't on its own. It probably wouldn't be that great, but the fact that sound all together, like it works.
I don't know if I like the green. The green is what gets it for me. I like the other colors. I'm not a huge fan of the green.
I think that's the green they used. It might have been a slightly more green in reality. Again, these colorized photos aren't the greatest.
The thing is, the thing I see about it so much is that I can't imagine it in another shade of green either.
Yeah. It's almost, think of it almost more of a brown. Here's another thing. That green would have been very popular at this time because
Pullman green.
Yeah, I have a feeling they painted it this way so that if they had Pullmans on the train, it would match the Pullmans.
That would make sense.
That was very common at this time.
Here's what I'm thinking. Okay, category.
Say good.
Okay.
I call it on good too.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a steam engine too, but I don't think the steam engine was that one's like and it's not as memorable, I think, as the E unit set. Honestly.
Yeah. So
another thing to note about these E units was they had a collapsing like the front doorways would actually extend out, and they had diaphragms, so they'd actually hook up with the other cars, and you had like a walkway. So these, instead of it being like an E unit and then an E unit B unit, they had them back. They had them back to back. They just had AA back to back, and then the nose would come up to the car behind it. So it didn't look as streamlined from the side, I will say.
Okay.
But it was kind of neat.
All right. Yeah. So we're agreed on okay for this one.
And honestly, compared to the other Seaboard units they had like a white one with like white pinstripe. I think this is the better of the two.
Wait. Oh, again, it's great, good, okay, right?
Yeah. It's God tier, great, okay, why was this made? So okay is the middle ground.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess okay. I'd put it between okay and good, but if you're holding it down, I'd say yeah, okay works.
Okay. Next up, Santa Fe Super Chief.
God tier. Why is this
I don't think you can't even make an argument.
I mean, okay, technically speaking, out of all the Streamliners here, this is technically the most basics in the sense of power. They're just F units, right?
Yeah.
Which, we weren't really trying to, if we were counting F units, E units, we'd be considering every train, basically every 50th passenger train ever. But it's more or less really the notable ones. And the reason why the Santa Fe one sticks out, because, look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think here's another thing. A lot of kids are not gonna know the F7 as the F7. They're gonna call it the Santa Fe engine. That's, as a kid, I called those Super Chiefs. I called all F7 Super Chiefs.
Well, yeah, because when you see like old school videos from like the 50s of like the F units when they first came out, you see them in Santa Fe war bonnet.
Yep.
Like that's what you see.
But the Santa Fe is what's iconic.
I'm blaming Lionel a bit.
That's true.
I think Lionel helped a lot with that. Yeah. I mean, the Santa Fe F3 when they did it in the post-war, it was like I think it's still one of the most highest selling toy trains ever made, if not the most highest selling toy train ever made. And it's like a Ford Mustang. Everyone had one.
Yeah. So God tier. God tier.
Yeah.
There's no argument.
There's no argument. It's a God tier. I mean, look at that photo. Look at the colors. Like how the bonnets meet when it's an ABBA set. How the bonnets and the color just kind of, the scheme kind of finishes off or rounds back off, and you have that all silver train set behind it. Just
look
at that. You can't sit there and tell me it's not.
That's one thing I'll give the West in general. All silver train sets are very pretty.
They are. They really are. Next one we have is NNW J Class / Podwin Arrow.
Yep.
Powhatan, I think it's pronounced.
Powhatan.
Powhatan.
Or
Or
I think there's a vowel in there. I mean it's it's NNW 611. Like it's
It's a very controversial engine.
Yeah, this is.
I think it's like, although it's because of the black paint, it seems a lot more industrial. It is one of the more streamlined engines.
Oh yeah.
It is completely shrouded aside from the underside, but the black and red paint just make it seem so much more of a brute. Like it just seems like, such a powerhouse of an engine just because of the paint scheme.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you put this in any other paint scheme, it would not give off that N&W, power feel. I think
yeah.
that's really what worked is that simple black and red paint scheme. It feels like a freight. It feels like, a freight streamliner.
I will.
What's up?
I was gonna say I will say in recent years, I think, and this is in the railfan community specifically, 611 has gone down in popularity for reasons.
It hasn't gone. I don't think it's gone down in popularity. I think it's a matter of the more that we've been online, and now that it runs, people are voicing their opinion a lot more. I think there's people who've always disliked the design of it because of its certain looks, like something else.
Yes.
You know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
we're
not saying it, but everybody knows exactly what we're talking about.
But
you can probably say that for a lot of things on this list.
But it's just a matter. But it's just a matter of it's like I've always liked it since I was a kid. I didn't like it for a little while, but then I've come back around to like it, especially after seeing it. I didn't get to see it run, of course, but
we were at the same time when we saw it.
Yeah.
Going back to the LNN one, actually, talking about how not having a matching set of cars.
Yep.
In this, it works though. It makes it work.
Wait,
it never had
an
all black train with that one stripe just wouldn't look good.
No,
I don't think
it would also be unhealthily hot.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, especially running in Virginia.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
in the summer.
Yeah, I mean the all maroon streamlined cars look really, really good.
Now it's also a matter of these engines did not end up on these streamlined trains a lot. They would be a lot more than often be on a heavyweight train. But I think that's the real good thing about the J class is because it was so sparsely painted with bright colors. You could throw it on anything and it would look good.
Even you can look good on freight.
Yeah, it looked good on when
there's photos of these in pulling freight. I mean,
Yep.
they had the idea that you could do mixed traffic if you had to. There's a photo of one actually pulling. I think the Southern Tennessean. So it was pulling Bud. It was pulling it was pulling stainless steel Bud cars.
Honestly, aluminum Bud cars probably look some of the better behind, especially if they're like that PRR style where it's the the red window trim.
Oh
They
yeah,
look
I know
good.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
With the red trim.
And going back about 611, like I always kind of liked it as a kid, and it's like it was kind of there. But I think after seeing when we saw it in person, I think even with not running it, just like it was much bigger than I thought it was. First of all,
Yep.
like I mean, it's a steam engine, be big, but it was still like I knew it was gonna be big, but I wasn't expecting that because I've never really seen the only really streamlined engine I've seen was 490. So, and now that's a completely different design.
Yes.
I wasn't really expecting the presence on
You can't really put steam locomotives like size until you actually see it.
Because like when it was at Strasbourg, you think 90 is a big engine. It's like the biggest engine they have, but then you see her next to 611, and she's dwarfed.
Oh yeah,
by
because 611 is absolutely monstrous.
Also, go on.
Oh well, you add what you're gonna edit now.
No. You finish off your thing.
Okay, because you know what I'm gonna talk about. Because when I always like 611.
This is what I was gonna say. I was gonna make you talk.
I'm gonna talk about it. I'm not proud of it, but I still need to do it.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
You know where to go.
I know where this is going.
I want to talk about it. So especially in the I Love Toy Train videos stuff I had as a kid, they would always feature when 611 was running like the 80s, 90s before she went down before Triumphant Return. When I was a kid, and mind you, after seeing 611 in real life, I got myself a J class and O gauge. I mean, that's how much like it really like turned my head around about it. But When I was a kid, I used to call 611 the Meep train, MEEP, because I thought if it made a sound, it would go meep. And what I want to do for my J class, because I have 612 though, I want to get like a tramp stamp like it has on the cab for the Spirit of Roanoke, but I want to get one in O scale, put the
Just says
Meep train
Meep.
on it, the Meep train on it,
God.
or Spirit of Meep or something stupid like that.
Honestly, I thought you were gonna talk about something else, but we'll talk about that after we're done recording.
You know, one more thing too to add before we go. These are probably the newest Streamliners built on this list.
Well, they were
honestly.
They were built in what, 52?
I think the last one rolled off the line in like 52. Yeah, I mean 611 was built in 50. She's technically not considered historic by FRA standards.
Yeah.
Because how late she was built.
God bless the NW.
So those also got, you know, they're up there. I mean, it's one of two only operating Streamliners in the country, and left for that matter.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm stuck here between God tier and great.
I don't know about God tier. I mean, it's good.
Because it's good.
Great.
It's great, but it's
not God tier.
There are better ones. There are better ones.
Can you put it in the middle or no? It doesn't have to be one or the other.
It's got to be one or the other.
Oh God, Vaughn, what do you think? Do you think God tier are great?
This is the thing that will plague this channel for the end of time if we don't put it in God tier. But I don't know if it can be considered God tier.
I don't think it can though. Is the thing? It's a fantastic engine.
Because
but like
back from God tier too, it's just colors. It's black. I like black. So I have a bias for.
I do too.
And it works great in this. And we talk about how great the black works on this engine.
Yes.
But I don't think it's God tier great.
I think it's great.
I think just great is okay.
We're gonna get a lot of people mad about this, but I think it's great.
I think it leans more towards God tier than great. But for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say great.
Oh, we just angered a lot of rail fans.
Oh, we angered a lot of people for not putting it great. No, we angered a lot of people for not putting it on great, and we angered a lot of people because we didn't put it even lower on the list.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not going to win. This is all subjective.
No, yeah,
this
is a losing battle.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these you will highly agree, but others were just like, "What are you doing, man?" I think we can safely put that as great.
All right,
because it is.
Even if things are God tier, we have to talk about them because I have a feeling we're gonna hit one or two where we're just gonna yell God tier and want to go on.
Well, I don't.
How many do we have God tier so far? Just two.
Two, yeah.
The Chief and the Daylight.
I just want to make sure we don't like go for we're not recording this forever. But moving on, we got the
Please do multiple parts.
Yeah, I could do a part 1 and part 2. But moving on, we got the Burlington Zephyr or the Pioneer Zephyr.
Pioneer Zephyr, CB&Q. It's like the first like streamlined train set, right?
Yes, I believe so.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if I would have picked this picture of it with the Mars light. I
wanted to do something colorful. Yes, I know. I want to do something colorful. Yeah. I wanted something that gets the whole thing. It's high quality. It's not my first choice of photo, but I figured it gives a good representation. I like it better without the added Mars light on it too.
It's like I can't debate this. I have to say God tier.
I think you're right. Because it's so iconic. It's an
iconic the craze, and it just looks so. It doesn't look like anything else. It just looks. It looks like a night helmet. Yeah. It looks like a night helmet is like the best. It just looks mean and fast.
You know what I'm gonna say?
Art Deco.
I got to go see this thing in Chicago at the Science Museum. It's not big. It's not.
I remember you saying that.
It wasn't meant to.
No, I know, but I'm also really tall.
Yeah.
I'm also really tall. Like if I can find, I can send you the picture, Adam, if you want.
Well,
of me crouching, trying to get into that thing.
You have to remember though, inside they actually raised the floorboards so they could have the floorboards rock. So it's a little bit shorter in there than it actually would have been.
Yes,
that's probably why.
Another thing about it,
but I think it's God tier.
I think
you know what? No, you know why it influenced CB&Q paint schemes here on out? Because if you look at their units, right? You notice how like on their units they have like the black vents around the nose.
That's true. Yeah.
On the headlight.
That's like the little vent there.
And I didn't realize that till I went to IRM and saw the I think 9511 it is the E5. right? I looked at the front. I'm like, wait a second.
It dawned upon you.
Because the E5's nose is like the exact same shape as the front of the Pioneer Zephyr.
Yep.
And then it dawned, and then like, wait, the black lines look like the windows, and those look like the. Oh, it all makes sense now.
It is also notable to mention that the train went through several different iterations. I think it was a 5-car set at one point. It was originally a 3, but I think it went to 5 for a while.
Also, for the anyone who lives in the New England states, the Boston and Maine, the Flying Yankee does count here because it's the same thing with a different name. It's the same set though.
It's like the Aero train.
And also with the Flying Yankee, we are going to have one running.
Eventually. Yeah, there's a Flying Yankee up in at the 2-foot main railroad, I think it is, right?
It was
somewhere. There's a flying. All we know is there's a Flying Yankee in Maine. There's people working on it.
Okay.
Yep.
So God's here, right? I think we're all in agreement.
It's so iconic.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely one of the best.
Started the American Streamliners. It can't not be.
Yeah. Next up to the list, we got the we were talking about the pronunciation of this before we were started recording. The Aeolus.
Aeolus.
Oh,
yeah.
I forgot you skipped.
Yes. Yeah. We have to scroll down a little bit to kind of find the picture. Yeah, because it says this is the only one that's out of order.
It is Aeolus. That is the official pronunciation.
I mean, basically, I think this is like it was a backup engine for when
it was whenever the locomotive for the Pioneer Zephyr broke down. They pulled one of these into the equation.
And this is one of basically these were their Hudsons, their 464 streamline essentially.
It was one. It was only one of them.
A couple.
No, it was just one.
I thought they did at least 2.
No, it was one.
Okay.
It was only one. 4,000.
Now, which is still around actually, I think.
Yes.
Just not in the streamlining, obviously.
And I know this doesn't lead into anything, but the crews hated this engine.
I was going to point this out. Yes, they did not like it because the streamlining was an afterthought. So, and there's a lot of panels and stuff, so you can open it up and get to like the valve gear and other parts you need to get to. So when you were running at speed, there's a lot of rattling and banging, essentially. Because it wasn't the most secure of connections.
It would have probably sounded like thunder.
Which is kind of a shame. What do they call this engine? They give this.
I don't remember.
I don't remember it either, and
I'll try to see if I can't look it up. But
it was something stupid. It was kind of funny.
One thing, and I know why it's like this. But one thing that irks me about it is the cab roof. How it is completely unstreamlined for the rest of the engine and train.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, it was kind of an afterthought, and they're probably trying to find a way to make it work. Honestly,
but I'm just trying to say that kind of offsets me. It's a little weird.
I'm a fan though.
I'm not. I can't say I'm too crazy about it.
I like it because it's one of the few where it went. I think it's the only one on here. It's got that silver, stainless steel look to it all the way around the entire thing.
Yeah, none of the other ones actually have that.
You might be right. There might have been I think there was a few different iterations of the design.
Yes. But the thing is about
Alice the Big Goon.
That's what Alice
referred to.
I don't know where Alice came from, because Aeolus.
Yeah, probably Alice, Aeolus. Yeah.
3012
and 4001. 4001 was the one that was called Alice the Big Goon.
I like it though, because with the streamlined set behind it, I think it looks out of this world. I think it looks extremely ahead in terms of just design and the look of it. And it looks ahead of its time. It looks like it's from the future. It's just that all put together.
Although I like everything tender back, I hate how flat the nose is.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about this.
It's a little too. It is a little flat on the flatter side. I think it kind of works, but
it is the description of we need a streamlined locomotive and we need it now.
Yes.
They just threw a sheet over it and turned that sheet into metal. It looks really good at certain angles, especially, and I don't think we did. The black stripes help, but it just, I don't know, doesn't do it for me. So we're having a split on this one.
Well, I wouldn't call it great. I say it's definitely one of the cooler ones I've seen, and I like it just because it looks very, like I said, futuristic. It looks like it's ahead of its time, in my opinion, but I wouldn't call it great either.
I would.
Like as much as I've
Okay.
praised about it.
I'm thinking like
Still pretty
okay.
good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. the
Okay.
middle.
I'd agree on that. Yeah.
All right. Next up we have the C&O Chessie.
Yellow Valley.
Yeah.
Casino L1s.
It's definitely one of the more unique ones. Because
Yeah,
it's dealing with a tapered front instead of it like swooping up, it swoops inward. I think
Yeah,
it's the only one that does that. Actually,
it is. It is the only one that did that.
and it's also 490 is one of the last surviving Streamliners ever, so she gets that kind of plus to it.
So these were rebuilds. They're rebuilt out of F-19 Pacifics. What I find really interesting about these, so these were built for the Chessie train, which was a train that never actually ran. The idea was it was supposed to be a luxurious alternative to the highways, which is what the Cincinnatian was as well. They built, I want to say 4 locomotives were built for this, but only 3 ever got streamlining.
Okay.
The 4th one was stopped mid-streamlining, and so there are pictures. It was built with the streamlined cab, but none of the rest of the skirting at all. And
That's
it is really weird looking. It's just a neat little fact. So yeah, these were streamline engines that never got their train.
Well, I think it's very unique. It's very interesting. I'm not a big fan of yellow.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of yellow, but I think it pulls it off because
it does.
It does.
I like it because it takes I think it works because of the cars it was designed for. It's like how you do a good Bud car. You don't paint the whole Bud car. You just put a stripe. And in this case, it has an eye-catching yellow, which is also at the same exact level on the tender as it is on the cars. And you just have that yellow with the silver and the blue C&O font up front. Now, it is notable these things were built orange. They changed them to yellow. Thank God.
I don't think.
Yeah, orange would look worse, I think.
Yeah, I think the yellow
disgusting.
Much better than the orange.
Yeah, the yellow I think looks fantastic.
I think it's definitely in terms of preservation. When talked about locomotives and preservation, I think it's definitely slept on a lot. Just because of the fact that it's one of the only streamliners we have left in preservation in terms of steam. That is.
Mm-hmm. I love
streamliners.
I think this has to be at least great. Also, I'd say great.
Before anyone says it, one thing that's going to hold it back now only because of today's world. Minion engine. You can never unsee that now.
I'm willing to
Minion
put this
engine.
I'm willing to put this in great just because it's just so it's like it's one of a kind really. It's I'm willing to put this in great. Jake, what do you think?
Oh, go
on. Well, I agree on great, but what's up?
I was just saying, other nice things. It has the Mohawk off of a Dreyfus, so that's a bonus point for me.
That's true, yeah.
And
small one, it's like a faux hawk almost.
Yeah, and also notable, it's a lot simpler underneath the streamlining because it had a poppet valve gear like the Penzi T1s, so it's a lot sleeker underneath. And also this one was actually, from what I know, pretty good to work on for crews because all those panels were on like locking hinges, so you could open or close them, but they would stay hinged closed. They weren't just metal sheets bolted on like on the ALS. Yeah. So I think it's a good all-around streamline.
And even without the cars it was made for, it still works with the C&O cars with the yellow striping.
Although, unfortunately, I don't even think it would have pulled those. I think it probably would have pulled an all-green consist. But I think on its own, good-looking engine, I'd have to put it in great.
Yeah. Next up, we got Lehigh Valley, and their train.
Black Diamond.
Black Diamond.
It's definitely an interesting one. Spiky. I think I would use where I think you use spiky almost.
Yeah.
It's eye-catching. That
it
red,
the black and red.
It now that I think about it, it gives me 611 vibes, but the whole consist actually is black and red in this case.
Oh yeah, well, because it
kind of red.
The paint fades into the tender, and then the tender fades into the coaches.
Yeah.
What's cool about this? It's a streamlined engine, but the cars are still heavyweights.
Yeah,
they're still traditional heavyweights. I think that's really cool, and that really stands out about this train set. And it's not even that; it's like while we're talking about how good an all black train look,
Yep.
it works. We're saying how we
In
didn't
this
work.
case.
It works because there's more red to balance out. There's more red
Yes.
and white to help balance it
Yeah.
out.
It's a red.
Well-
It's technically a red train with a black stripe.
Yes, because 611's just got the thin
Red
and
stripe.
the has thin red stripe. This at least has two bigger red and white stripes to break up the black on it.
I'd say it's a red train with a black stripe on the cars, at least. The engine's black, definitely, but the cars I'd say are red with a black stripe.
That's what the engine too. I like how there's that red strip that goes along the center of it, around the nose cone, and you have like that diamond on the front around the headlight.
I will also point this out later on, but one thing to know, if you guys think back to the Royal Blue, this is also a cooler torpedo. It
The
has
nose
the
looks the
same
same.
nose. It has the same nose, and for most part, the cowcatcher and pilot are pretty much the same, and it has the same skirting underneath the cab. He did almost all of his bullet-nosed engines almost identically. So, but they added in those little silver, like the little steps where it comes out, and it just breaks it up that much more.
I like how it's got like that like red, almost like mohawk and like little like goatee going for it too.
It
You
looks like
Like
it
a- like a-
it gives you like tail fin vibes off like a 50s car.
Yeah,
It breaks it up.
Mm-hmm. And it works, and I think it's one of the sleekest ones.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not really talked about. And know what the official name for this is, I think, too? The engine, at least, the engine is the John Wilkes,
Yes.
I believe. And I think he was like one of the founders of the Lehigh Valley. I forget what significance John Wilkes was with the Lehigh Valley. It wasn't Booth.
I think
I can confirm with you, it's not Booth.
I think
It is
when
not
you
John
when you
Wilkes
search
Booth.
up John Wilkes on Google, you're going to get John Wilkes Booth.
It's not that John Wilkes. I can say that much.
Actually, so I'm actually wondering. I want to list what this one is, but before going on to the next one, I want to talk to you guys about the next 3.
4,
but
honestly.
Well, no. What I'm? Okay, yes. But what I mean. Okay, let's just get the rating down with this one, then I'll talk about it.
I'm thinking great. Yeah.
I think great, just because the colors.
The colors are really cool.
You can't go wrong with. Okay, first of all, really, you can't go wrong with black.
You can't. You can't.
Everything goes well with black. That's great. I think it's great.
Yes.
So we all agree. All right, slap that thing in great.
So
okay.
Next
before we get on to this next, So what I was saying, the reason I was saying, do you think we should? And you can cut this out in post because you can do that. Do you think we should move the Empire after the Dreyfus? I think that makes more sense because it feels weird to show a derivative of the Dreyfus before you show.
Well, we'll just scroll down. We'll just scroll down and talk about the Dreyfus.
I mean, we can do the Dreyfus first then.
Let's do all the others. Let's do
Vanderbilt?
Commodore then Dreyfus.
Okay.
That work for you?
Yes.
Right.
So we're doing Commodore Vanderbilt.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can cut that all out, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I'll keep it in.
We'll figure it out.
The reason I was saying is because wait, they can see the list anyway, so it doesn't
It's
matter.
too late.
Yeah.
It's too late. We're going.
Yep.
We're doing it live. We're doing it live.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the Commodore Vanderbilt.
I think it was like the first. What? This is a significant.
America's first streamlined steam locomotive.
Yes, Commodore Vanderbilt was the first streamlined steam locomotive in the United States, and she was built off of J1E number 5344. That being the last J1E ever built. And what's significant about 5344 is that she's also much like what was the other one? That was
5304.
53. Oh,
So it's
5304
and 5344. I pointed that out.
Was
before,
only one that's streamlined twice because while she did get the Commodore Vanderbilt treatment, mind you, there's only one Commodore Vanderbilt. That's why I never had like a number on the side.
Like the Royal Blue.
Like the Royal Blue, yes. And she was eventually streamlined into a Dreyfus Hudson later on. And she was the only J1 to get the Dreyfus treatment. And she was the only locomotive on the roster to get streamlined twice. So that's like what? 2 engines in the entire maybe United States that we know of have been put in 2 completely different designs of streamlining.
Well,
a book on American Steam I read said that about them, saying those were the only 2. So I'm gonna assume that's actually accurate.
Yeah, I would assume so.
At least major. There might have been minor, like we switched out nose cones.
you can see where a lot of later designs took cues from this in terms of the what's called the upside down bathtub design.
Yes.
Essentially.
Oh yeah.
Although I will say this one covers up a lot more because of how low that curve is.
Yeah.
It
How
covers all the valve gear hangers and everything.
Like
it only
Aeolus was
leaves the
similar.
bottom of the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Aeolus. Yeah.
Got it. She never got streamlined set though. I mean, there was the Rexall train, which was just a Mohawk in the same streamlining, but it was like blue and white.
Yeah,
it looked kind of cool.
Yeah,
but it's essentially the same as this. That's why we didn't count it. It's basically in the same category as this because the streamline design is the same except just longer.
Plus, the Rexall train is. I find that train so weird. It's basically if Amtrak said we are releasing a new streamlined train and we are calling it the Walgreens Limited because Rexall was a
drugstore, wasn't it?
Supplier brand, yes. So that would be like the Walgreens Limited.
The CVS Express.
Yes.
the CVS Express.
Ranger.
We need to get on Amtrak's marketing team. just go into an Amtrak boardroom. All right, you're gonna love this idea.
You know how you get long distance trains back? Sponsorship. That's how you get this. That's how you bring it back.
Okay, let's get this train back on the rails.
Okay, I'm okay. Now you guys might not like me for this. I'm thinking okay.
I would agree on that.
It's
not iconic. Yeah, I like it.
It's iconic for what it's known for, but aesthetically,
I like the paint. I like the dark gray with white striping, but I don't think it's one of the greats.
It's not.
What I think holds me back is I'm salty that 5344 because the J1Es are so pretty on their own without streamlining. And 5344 is iconic because that's what to go back to Lionel, and that's what they based their famous scale 700 Hudson off of was 5344 in the last J1E built. So that's why I'm salty, a little salty about it because I really like 5344.
So you're salty for reasons that don't really matter, is what you're saying.
No. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
but
so
I think we'll put it in good.
Yeah, we'll put it in okay. Yeah. All right. So which one do we want to do next out of the other three that we have left?
Dreyfus, because that was the
Dreyfus next. Okay.
Dreyfus, then Empire.
Yes,
and then we'll round off with Mercury.
Yes. I mean, come on. There's no argument about this. It's just
it is. There is so little streamlining, yet it pulls it off so well.
I mean,
it just screams Art Deco.
The 20th Century Limited was like one of the most famous trains in the world.
Yeah, I mean that locomotive is so recognized. Like that's like one of the generic streamlined designs we would do, like generic Art Deco stuff. Like that is what they do.
Yeah,
the Mohawk and everything.
And what I think I love the most about it is this is probably the least streamlined engine in the list.
Yeah. I mean,
you just have a nose cone, a face cone, and then that little bit from the second driver back to the cab and the Mohawk. But you have all the pipings exposed, all the valve gears exposed. The only thing that's not exposed is the firebox and the piping on the turret, and that's it.
Also, the drivers look fantastic.
Oh, the disc drivers?
Yeah, those look so good.
I
love to point out how Mohawk never got a Mohawk.
Yeah,
it actually is funny now that you say that.
I've always liked how the cylinders are darker. I don't know why, but I've just always liked that little bit of detail.
Right.
It just looks nice.
It's enough. Like it's enough contrast, you know.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like all this because like, could you imagine it where it's just still light gray? Like I like the differentiating of the color, so it's like it kind of draws your eye towards it or away from it, whatever. But
you just look at this thing though, and you think speed, and you think. Like, you know, the future. This is
New York Central, ghost of the rails.
Yes,
but like it's just
Century Limited had a barber shop on.
Also, you know, it goes down in rock history too. The great late Eddie Van Halen on what was the album? It was one of his solo albums he did like 2012.
I'll look it up.
A different kind of truth. I think it's a different kind of truth.
It was also, the 20th Century Limited was also in many movies as well. Yeah, North by Northwest by Alfred Hitchcock. The 20th Century Limited was in
Well,
that.
that was the diesel, but
I
no, they didn't have steam in that movie. I know.
Yeah, well, I think the train itself though. I mean, like the,
Yeah.
the actual
not
train.
this engine.
Yeah.
Not this engine though. That's
So, I
what
mean,
we're
Also-
you got a pair of Dreyfuss Hudson with the 20th Century Limited. You can't really have one without the other. I think when you're discussing one of them.
yes.
So God tier, like just
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's
you
not
have to. Yeah, no.
If
no,
you
no
if you
contest.
deny it, you're a Penzi fan.
you will be hung out
you're
to
a
dry,
standard rail fan.
We'll
standard
come back.
heathen.
Yes.
So still talking about New York Central, the Empire State Express, which
Okay, this one is like one of my favorites ever. I love
yes,
this thing.
I think it's. I mean, I think one of the reasons why it's not well known, and maybe Jake, maybe you'll agree with us, because the day that it was supposed to be released was the day
December 7th, 1941.
was
There's nothing.
the
Oh boy,
day-
I can't. Hang on, there's a joke for this. Oh boy, I can't wait to release our new streamlined passenger train to the world. I don't think any event in the world right now could overshadow this event on December 7th, 1941.
Yeah, so if you guys didn't know, the day that the Empire State Express was supposed to be launched was the same day that Pearl Harbor happened, which is why
not supposed to be. They still did.
Well, yeah, but
it's like
I think that's why this one might get a little bit overshadowed.
not really. It's still pretty well known.
Well, I think it's less talked about though.
I think it's less talked
about because of model
the
trains.
That could very.
I think it's less talked about just because the Dreyfuss is always talked about. It's always in the shadow of its older brother, I guess you could say. You know,
because they're almost quite similar in design.
I think it's the fact. I think it's more like the fact that it was released on the same day as Pearl Harbor kind of enhances it because it's kind of just an interesting fact that it was released on the same day.
I mean, you can make that argument too. I think you're.
I honestly like it. I like it more than the Dreyfuss a little bit more. That's personally. I love the chrome. I love the black. I love just the contrasting black and chrome look.
Yeah, it's a good contrast.
You can definitely see differences in design. Obviously, there's the skyline's more round off on top. There's no mohawk. There, instead of like a swooping upward for a firebox cover, it goes straight and it's fluted to match the Bud car set.
Yeah.
What I like about it too is the Empire State Express. It only ran in New York. It ran from between Niagara Falls and it ran between Buffalo and New York City. So it was like our kind of personal little streamliner.
Oh yeah.
In terms of local, because it was released here. It was released in Buffalo. That's when it debuted, I believe.
I think it was I think it was running from New York.
I think it was.
I'm almost certain.
I'm gonna look it up. I remember
because I watched that Trains Unlimited episode on the Central, and they talk about this happening and how Pearl Harbor happened the same day, and I think it was in Grand Central. They always mention how it ran from New York to Buffalo, like it starts in New York and ends in Buffalo. They always mention that fact about it.
Right. It starts, but I remember reading something about it was.
I think it was unveiled in New York. I'm almost certain. Or well, actually, maybe not because they didn't allow steam inside the city after that point. So it might have been in Buffalo, but I don't think it was though. Can you get anything on it?
That because there's a lot of photos of it in Buffalo, you know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to find it right now.
But while you're thinking about that, what category do we want to put this into?
I
say great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm willing to say great because in my opinion, not as good as the Dreyfuss, but still pretty good.
Yeah, but beautiful. Still.
Absolutely.
Still
yes.
Amazing.
Jake, you finding anything on that?
I'm trying. I can't.
All right. Well, we can table that discussion for another time.
I think something about it is it splits off in Buffalo too, so it goes to like Detroit and Cleveland, but it mainly the actual train service because it's what the the Empire service is now basically.
Yeah,
is what that was.
Yeah,
but yes, great, definitely great.
Last one out of the Central we have is the Mercury.
Not a Hudson, specific this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's specific. This is Cleveland's train. This is Cleveland's only streamliner. My bias. Not a huge fan of the look of the engine. I like the blue. I think it was a very prettily painted consist. I don't think the engine looks that great. The drivers
Yeah.
look kind of cool,
I don't
but the rest of it is
I
Yeah,
don't
I'm kind of with you on
describe
that.
that. Like, I'm not crazy about it either because it's just kind of like one side. It's like
there.
It's like a half oval.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
like
kind
the drivers. I think are one of the redeeming factors of it, though. Like
Yeah.
See,
the
'cause what I like
drivers are
about-
cool.
what I like about a lot of the Streamliners we've had so far is that they had some kind of defining shape to them. You can at least kind of tell it was still a steam locomotive underneath, and that's what I kind of like about most streamlined steam locomotives. This is just kind of one like solid shape. You know,
Yeah.
you really can't. I mean, you could tell obviously because those are the wheels, but like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of one big.
It's very
mass.
cartoony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like this is like it's a fish.
Yeah. It's like an
Yeah.
anglerfish.
Yeah.
I will say one cool thing about this that isn't in this picture, but every once in a while they would put marker lights on it because they were required. When they put marker lights on this one, they had copper coated marker lights. So you had these nice big brass looking marker lights to contrast the blue, and it looked very
cool.
nice. I will say that was cool. But yeah, I agree. This is
Yeah, I'm thinking because
Is
it's
this our first
no the LNN
L&N one.
is
LNN
also in
was
that
in here.
category.
Okay, so we have an
Yeah, we have an
Okay.
Yeah, I don't call it bad because obviously there's a lot of
Also, go on.
work put into it, but yeah, just
it's
Nah.
yeah.
I will also say one thing that I always find entertaining. So you know you guys are talking about how New York City had their steam ban.
Yeah.
Cleveland had a ban on steam in Terminal Tower. They had a whole electric railway. New York Central ran this thing through Terminal Tower anyways.
shows you how much they cared. What do we care about Cleveland? It don't make us that much money.
Even though this was Cleveland's base train, it ran from Cleveland to Detroit, if I remember correctly.
They're just like
You were literally connecting the two meme cities of the Northeast. But at least we're not Detroit, but at least we can go to Detroit in style.
they're just New York Central executives were like, you guys want us to care about Cleveland? That's a funny way of spelling New York City.
Cleveland and Detroit, 1936. The Chicago Mercury went from Chicago to Detroit later on.
No, I imagine it's, all right, Cleveland, you're finally getting your own direct train service to be streamlined. Oh, cool. Where's it going? Detroit.
Also notable, this and the Cincinnatian are both, and I think also the Chessie, these were daylight streamliners. They never traveled at night, did not have sleeper cars. They were all coach.
It's kind of funny. The Cincinnati, Cincinnati got a pretty streamliner, full matches and everything. Cleveland gets this, and they get to go to Detroit.
Well, the Cincinnatian was, so that's one thing we probably should have brought up with the Cincinnatian. Cincinnatian was this train that went from Baltimore to Washington to Cincinnati.
Okay, Baltimore's not that much of an upgrade, but still.
But it's a matter of, well, what I'm trying to say with the Cincinnatian. Who is like, okay, yes, I need to take a train that takes me from Cincinnati to Baltimore.
I think, well,
It's
Cincinnati
just
was
such
also,
a weird train.
You're telling me you don't want to go to the Super Friends station?
But they eventually swapped it out. It eventually went from
Oh my God.
Cincinnati to Detroit.
Oh, because that's so much better.
That train was more successful, but it was completely unstreamlined at that point.
Yeah.